There were a lot of dumb decisions made in the Harry Potter series. Decisions that could have dire consequences, could result in you just shaking your head, and some that are just so stupid that you don't even know what to say. Welcome to Movie Flame, I'm Morgan Ross, and today I'm going to go over 20 examples in the Harry Potter series that made me say, what the hell are you thinking? If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and sharing. It will greatly help to grow and sustain the channel. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my other social media pages, all of which are linked down below, and all of which house similar content that I make here on this channel. Now, let's get into it. Number 20, Harry and Ron taking the flying car to school. Harry and Ron think they have a brilliant idea when they decide to take the flying car to Hogwarts after the barrier is closed. But it's one of the dumber decisions I've seen in the series. If they had just waited even a few minutes, the barrier would have reopened because many parents have to get back through, including Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, whose car is parked outside. Or as McGonagall suggested, they could have just used Hedwig, who was right there, to send a letter to Hogwarts telling them what happened. In taking the car, they exposed themselves to 7 muggles, who the ministry then had to track down and alter their memory plus anyone else they told. And Harry and Ron themselves felt the repercussions of their dumb idea, first being tired, hungry, and uncomfortable during the journey, and wishing that they were on the train. And even more, almost being killed by the Whomping Willow when they crashed into it. Definitely not a smart idea. While taking the flying car was not smart, one thing that can make you incredibly knowledgeable is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding a Civilization. This book was a bestseller when it first debuted in 2023, and it's raised over $2.3 million in crowdfunding, actually being the top project on Kickstarter. So clearly it's well loved, and why wouldn't it be? This is not just a book, but a visual journey through the history of innovation, which combines beauty, intellect, and inspiration. It's a captivating, illustrated encyclopedia of humankind's greatest inventions and discoveries. I've never seen anything like it, and I've lost myself for hours at a time in this book because there's just so much to learn. There's so many things to highlight, but some of my favorite sections include the art section, which isn't just about paintings, which is what I originally thought it would be, but it includes the art of poetry, theater, and even tattoos, which I found to be really fascinating. I also love the music section, and as someone who has played the drums, I learned so much about them that I never knew, which I did not think was possible. There's also a section about everyday life, which just goes over random things we use every day, like a toothbrush and toothpaste, kitchen appliances, alarm clocks, and it's just so cool. I also love history, and this book takes you all the way back to the first things, starting with the creation of fire. There's also a section about sailing, which I just had to show my aunt, who loves to sail, and she was literally obsessed. She learned so much that she didn't know, and it was also a great bonding experience as we went through the book together. And I could go on and on. There's so many things in this book that I just lost myself in, and there's something in here for everyone, no matter who you are. And I'm very happy to tell you that with my link in the description or in the pinned comment, you can get this incredible book with 10% off when you use my promo code MovieFlame or if you scan the QR code on the screen. Again, that's 10% off with promo code MovieFlame. Go check it out, you won't regret it. Now, back to the show. Number 19, Snape calling Lily a Mudblood. Snape was in love with Lily, but their relationship was already hanging on by a thread. First, Lily did not like who Snape was hanging around with, which is valid given that all of them turned out to be Death Eaters after school. And second, her friends constantly questioned why she hung out with Severus. So what does Snape go and do? He calls Lily the worst thing he could possibly call her, a mudblood. Had he messed up in some other way, their friendship might have survived, but he went for the jugular, and Lily never wanted to talk to him again. He lost the love of his life because of his one dumb decision to call Lily a slur. Number 18, Sirius going to platform 9 3/4. Sirius was tired of being cooped up in Grimmauld Place, which he had to do given the fact that he was on the run. But he probably would have had some leeway to leave a bit more, because the Order had orchestrated a brilliant plan to fool the Ministry into thinking that he was in an entirely different part of the world. Kingsley, a member of the Order and also a high-ranking Auror, made the Ministry think that Sirius was currently hiding in Tibet, meaning they wouldn't look in London at all. However, Sirius ruined these efforts. Against everybody's advice to not go to platform 9 3/4 with Harry in his dog form, he went anyway, and there he was seen by Lucius Malfoy. Lucius of course knew about Sirius being an animagus thanks to Wormtail. So when he saw him there, Lucius went to Fudge and told him that Sirius was indeed not in Tibet, but right here in London. This meant Sirius now had no leeway to leave whatsoever, all thanks to his dumb and impulsive idea to risk going to the platform with Harry. And this played a big part in his decision to go to the Ministry where he ultimately lost his life. Because he had been so cooped up for so long, he really wanted to get out and go fight. Number 17. Giving first years detention in the woods. I get giving kids detention when they do something wrong, but choosing the punishment of sending first years into the restricted Forbidden Forest was straight up stupid. It was restricted to students for a reason, and with 4 kids, they had to split up, meaning 2 were without the protection of Hagrid for much of their time in there. And obviously they had no way of knowing that Voldemort would be in there and that he would try to kill Harry. But even if Voldemort wasn't there, do you know how many other things could have gotten them? 1 year later, Harry and Ron were almost killed by the Acromantula in the forest. And there are tons of things just as bad as those creatures in there. Not the Hogwarts staff's smartest idea, I will say. Number 16. Merope giving Tom Riddle Sr. a love potion. Merope was in love with the handsome muggle boy that lived down the street, and while he was extremely good looking, she knew that she was anything but a looker herself. So she resorted to giving him a love potion, forcing him to be with her. This was a bad idea from the start, and also a very messed up one because she basically date raped him, but times 10, because she kept him under this date rape spell for months. Honestly, poor Tom, man. Merope couldn't keep giving him the love potion forever though, especially when they were going to have a baby to raise when she got pregnant. Again, poor Tom. He was forced to conceive that child against his own free will. When Merope stopped giving the love potion to Tom, he of course ran for the hills, leaving Merope heartbroken and pregnant. Well, what the hell did she think was going to happen? He's obviously not going to stay with you. At this point, you deserve to have your heart broken. That's it. She ended up losing her life in childbirth, most likely because she lost the will to live after everything that happened to her. But had Merope not made the stupid decision to do this, the most evil tyrant of all time wouldn't have been conceived and born. Number 15. Lucius Malfoy giving Ginny Weasley the diary. Lucius thought it would be fun to give his rival Arthur Weasley's daughter the diary that Voldemort had entrusted him with. He did this knowing that it would lead to the Chamber of Secrets opening again, and he hoped that Ginny and several other Muggleborns, or as he calls them, Mudbloods, would die. However, not only did nobody end up dying, but he was almost figured out as the person who concocted this evil plan. Dumbledore knew for sure, and Lucius is lucky that he didn't tell anyone. However, that is nothing compared to the consequences he felt for this decision when Lord Voldemort came back. When he returned, the Dark Lord learned that Lucius had essentially destroyed one of his Horcruxes just for some petty fun. Lucius obviously didn't know it was a Horcrux, but he was still incredibly careless with something that he knew was clearly valuable to Voldemort. Between this and Lucius failing in the Department of Mysteries, he became the most pathetic and biggest laughingstock amongst the Death Eaters. Plus, his son was given a mission that Voldemort intended to kill him, ensuring that Lucius would lose his only child. Yikes. Number 14. Harry using Sectumsempra without knowing what the curse did. Harry put a lot of trust in a book during his 6th year, which was ill-advised. Hermione warned him about the Half-Blood Prince being sketchy, but Harry didn't listen. He idolized the prince and used his spells without question. He was lucky that the others used didn't cause any damage, but the one spell that eventually did caused an insane amount of damage. When he saw the cursed Sectumsempra in the book and the note that said it should be used against enemies, he thought, oh, well, Draco is my enemy, so let's use it on him. Bad decision. Turns out the curse is deadly, and he sliced Malfoy across his chest. This would have killed Malfoy had Snape not come in time. Can you imagine the consequences Harry would have faced had Malfoy actually been killed? What a stupid decision by Harry. Also, it's funny that the Half-Blood Prince got him into this sticky situation and also got him out. Number 13, bringing back the Triwizard Tournament. Choosing to bring back a tournament that was put to an end because a student died the last time it was held was not smart. While the last dumb decision did not lead to death, this one did. Cedric Diggory lost his life while participating in the tournament. And I know there were special circumstances that led to his death, but even so, you got the exact same result as the last tournament. So you would think they would learn. And they decided to make it safer this time around, but then decided to let a fourth champion who was underage participate. Why didn't they just not let him compete? Barty Crouch Sr. said he had to because those were the rules of the Goblet of Fire. But surely you can change that. I mean, Dumbledore altered the Goblet of Fire, making it so nobody underage can enter. And Barty Jr., disguised as Mad-Eye Moody, completely altered and hoodwinked the goblet, making it think there was an entirely different school added. So clearly, it would have been easy to ensure that Harry didn't have to compete. And the tasks themselves were crazy. Having students fight a dragon is so dangerous. And then deciding to take 4 people, none of whom are part of the tournament, and all of whom are underage, and put them at the bottom of the Black Lake? What an irresponsible and dumb thing to do. I know they were never meant to be in danger, but even putting them in that position, so much could have gone wrong. And then the maze. They put insanely dangerous creatures in there, and nobody could even see the champions except Barty Crouch Jr. with Moody's magical eye. So nobody knew to step in when Harry and Cedric were almost killed by an acromantula. Just an all-around stupid decision to bring this tournament back. You would think they would have learned. Number 12, Crabbe using Fiendfyre in the Room of Requirement. Crabbe was never the smartest guy, but you would think he'd know better than to use one of the most unpredictable and uncontrollable spells which produces insane fire in a room full of 60% wooden furniture. And even if it wasn't filled with that, Fiendfyre is known to destroy anything in its path, no matter what it is. And it's not just fire. It produces the most dangerous magical beasts in the wizarding world, like serpents, chimeras, or even dragons, out of pure flames. Choosing to produce this piece of dark magic when having no idea how to control it was an idiotic decision that led to his own death. Also, in the movie, it was Goyle that produced the Fiendfyre and died, but in the book, it was Crabbe, and we're going by the book, so. Number 11, picking Azkaban to be the wizard prison and the Dementors to be its guards. The way in which the Ministry found Azkaban, that alone should have made them think this was a bad idea. In deeper lore past the books, we know that this island was inhabited by a dark wizard named Xrisdus. Following his death, the Ministry employees who went to check the island out refused to talk about what they had seen and experienced there. When they found out about the Dementors, the Ministry feared them so much that they opted not to destroy the place, fearing that the Dementors would be set loose, and knowing that they had no way to control them. Damocles Rao, who became Minister of Magic in 1718, heard this and said, "Oh yeah, let's use this island that was inhabited by a dark wizard for half a century and choose the creatures we know we can't control as the guards. That's a great idea." And who would have guessed that the creatures who you have no control over would switch sides and turn against you? The Dementors were never loyal to the Ministry. They just served whoever gave them the most souls to suck out. The Ministry paid for this dearly, as they not only had to fight Voldemort and his Death Eaters, but also the thousands of Dementors as well. Making Azkaban the wizard prison was such a dumb idea. Thank God Kingsley got rid of the Dementors and turned to human guards. Number 10. Fudge denying Voldemort's return. Cornelius Fudge was told by Dumbledore hours after Voldemort got his new body that the Dark Lord had returned. And what did Fudge do? He denied this, told the wizarding world that Dumbledore and Harry were crazy for spreading this lie, and allowed Voldemort an entire year to build an army of giants, werewolves, and as mentioned in the last point, Dementors. Dumbledore told Fudge that he could be on two sides of history based on the choice he made the night Voldemort returned. He could be remembered as one of the best ministers of all time who acted and stopped Voldemort before he gained too much power. Or he could be on the bad side of history and be remembered as the minister who allowed Voldemort to take over again. And we all know what route he took. And you would think that he would listen to Dumbledore, considering the fact that he wrote to him weekly during his term, asking for help and advice. Fudge was an insecure and easily threatened little bitch who made one of the worst decisions any minister ever made in the history of the Wizarding World. Number 9. Harry not using the two-way mirror. Before Harry went back to school after Christmas, Sirius gave Harry one half of a two-way mirror that he and James used to use when they were at Hogwarts. He told Harry that if he ever needed to talk to him, to just take it out and say his name. Harry told himself that he wouldn't do this because he didn't want Sirius to do something stupid and be caught. But one would assume that when Harry needed to talk to Sirius when it was life or death, he would think to use the mirror. But instead, after seeing Voldemort's fake memory of Sirius being tortured, he came up with an incredibly complicated plan, sneaking into Umbridge's office and using Floo powder to see if Sirius was there. This led to Creature lying to him, so Harry went to the Ministry, put all of his friends in danger, and made the Order, including Sirius, come to save them. This then led to a battle where there were tons of serious injuries on their side, and of course, which led to Sirius dying. Had Harry just used the mirror, none of that would have happened, and his godfather would still be alive and well. Number 8. Dumbledore putting the ring on. Dumbledore is one of the smartest and most powerful wizards to ever live, but my god, he could be dumb at times. When he found one of Voldemort's Horcruxes and realized it housed the Resurrection Stone, he lost all sense and put the ring on, hoping to use the stone to most likely speak to his dead sister again. But what Dumbledore stupidly didn't take into account was that the ring would obviously have defensive spells that Voldemort put on it. And this would be even more obvious considering how easy it was to get to compared to all of the other Horcruxes. It was literally just sitting in the Gaunt House. And one thing that I've always questioned about this was, why would Dumbledore put the whole ring on? The stone works without the ring. That's how it was created. The ring was just added by the Gaunt family centuries later. By making the dumb decision of putting the ring on, Dumbledore almost died, and had it not been for Snape, he would have died that night. Man, Snape stopped 2 people from dying on this list so far, Draco and Dumbledore. That's crazy. But even though Snape stopped him from dying that night, this stupid decision by Dumbledore still poisoned him so badly that he only had a year to live. Number 7. Dumbledore leaving Harry in the dark for his own good. Yet another dumb Dumbledore decision. Dumbledore didn't want to scare or hurt Harry, so instead he withheld crucial information that Harry needed to know for years. He didn't tell him at the end of the first book, he didn't tell him at the end of the second book, he didn't tell him at the end of the third book, he didn't tell him at the end of the fourth book, he only told him at the end of the 5th book. By keeping Harry in the dark about why Voldemort targeted him and how part of Voldemort lived inside of him, he made Harry not fear their connection as much as he should have, leaving him vulnerable to manipulation. And this of course led to Harry believing Voldemort's vision, going to the Ministry, and led to Sirius's death. If there's anything to take away from this video, it's that there were many dumb decisions by multiple people that led to Sirius dying. Number 6. Barty Crouch Sr. breaking his son out of Azkaban. Barty Sr. locked his son up for aiding in one of the most brutal crimes ever committed, torturing the Longbottoms into madness and leaving them in a vegetative state instead of killing them. Though many thought that his son was innocent, Barty Sr. went with his gut, sending his son to Azkaban, and he should have stuck to his gut feeling because he was right. But instead, he let his wife talk him into breaking Barty Jr. out. He aided his wife in switching places with their son so that he would be free. If you look at everything that Barty Sr. stood for during his career, you would see that this is the complete opposite of everything he dedicated his life to. But he did it anyway because his wife was dying. By making this switch, he not only allowed his wife to suffer in Azkaban for her final days, but he also broke out one of Voldemort's most brutal and loyal followers, even if it was his own son. This decision led to him hiding this massive secret that would destroy his career, and honestly his life, if anyone found out. he would probably go to Azkaban himself if he was caught. And though it was years later, this decision led to Barty Jr. returning to Voldemort, led to Barty Sr. being put under the Imperius Curse, led to Voldemort having Harry's blood in his new body, and most of all for Crouch Sr., this dumb decision led to his own death. His son murdered him, then defiled his dead body by transfiguring him into a bone and burying him in Hagrid's garden. Number 5. Harry stopping Sirius and Remus from killing Wormtail. Had Harry let Sirius and Remus kill Peter that night, he would not have found Voldemort, it wouldn't have allowed Voldemort to return to a new body, Cedric wouldn't have died, the Second Wizarding War would not have taken place, and this would mean that everybody that died, Fred, Sirius, Dumbledore, Tonks, Lupin, Moody, and so many others, would not have died either. Now obviously, I understand Harry's reasoning, because he wanted to have proof that Sirius was innocent, and also because his dad would not have wanted this to happen. But when you lay out everything that this would have prevented, it makes you see that this might have been a dumb decision. Number 4. Snape telling Voldemort the prophecy. Once again, we have a dumb decision by Snape that hurt the woman he loved, or in this case, killed. After hearing the prophecy, he immediately told his master Voldemort, and when Voldemort deciphered the prophecy, this led to him targeting Lily's son. Now obviously, Snape didn't know that Lily would be the victim. He just thought that a random baby and possibly its parents would be killed. That didn't really matter to him, which, yikes. To all you Snape lovers, take a second to process that. Snape did try to stop Voldemort from killing Lily, first asking the Dark Lord himself to just kill Harry and James if he had to, but to spare Lily. Then he tried to stop it by going to Dumbledore, asking him to make sure that Lily didn't die. And Dumbledore actually said, and I quote, "You disgust me," when Snape asked Dumbledore the same thing he asked Voldemort, to save Lily and that he didn't care if Harry and James died. Dumbledore did protect them, but it was inevitable, they died anyway. Because Snape told Voldemort the prophecy, Lily, the love of his life, died. I've always loved the line that Dumbledore said to Snape afterwards. She and James put their faith in the wrong person, rather like you, Severus. Number 3. Voldemort making Horcruxes out of famous objects. If I were to make a Horcrux, I would put the piece of my soul into the most random thing I could find. I might put it into a rock and then throw it into the ocean because nobody would ever find that. And there are so many examples like that you can do. But instead, Voldemort decided to put his soul into some of the most legendary and famous objects in the magical world. 3 out of the 4 Founders' relics. And listen, if you do one of them, I guess that's okay, but building a pattern of doing 3 of them is just so obvious. And the other Horcruxes he made were objects that could easily be traced to his past, including one that literally had his freaking name on it. Like at that point, you're just broadcasting it to everyone. And on top of that, he hid them in places that are very easily trackable to his life, like his mother, uncle, and grandfather's house, or a cave that everyone remembers as the place where he scarred 2 kids for life, and most of all, a school that was forever cemented to him. If you know anything about Tom Riddle, you know that his favorite place in the world was Hogwarts. He even tried to come back to be a teacher. All of these decisions were so dumb and led to his early demise. He dedicated his life to living forever, but because of these stupid decisions, he died at the age of 71, which is below average for muggles, much less for wizards who can easily live into their 110s. Dumbledore was 115, and he would have lived longer had he not poisoned himself. So yeah, just stupidity from Voldemort. And we're not done with Voldemort. At number 2, I have Voldemort not checking himself if Harry was dead. Voldemort had spent almost 2 decades trying to kill Harry, and at this point, he had failed 6 times. So you would think he would check to see if he really was dead the 7th time. But he instead decided to send Narcissa Malfoy, the mother of the son that Voldemort essentially tried to kill less than 2 years before this when he gave him the mission to kill Dumbledore. Sending Narcissa was a dumb decision on its own. Don't mess with a desperate and broken mother who's in that state because of you. I feel like sending anyone else besides her would have been smarter. But the smartest thing to do would have been to just check yourself. Had he done that, he would have realized that Harry was alive, unarmed, and an easy target who had no way of not dying this time around. He had used all of his protections up at this point. Instead, by just sending Narcissa, a pissed off and worried mother, it eventually led to Voldemort's death. And finally, number 1. Slughorn telling Voldemort about Horcruxes and not telling anyone that he did this. Horace Slughorn was one of the many who fell for the charm of Tom Riddle, but telling a student about such dark magic like Horcruxes is inexcusable. That alone was a dumb decision, but an even dumber and honestly kind of evil decision was not telling anyone about their conversation. After that conversation, or perhaps years later when Voldemort rose to power, Slughorn knew that Voldemort not only intended to make one Horcrux, but 7. Had he told someone, they could have acted and saved who knows how many lives. But then it gets worse. Not only did he withhold this information, but even when he had the perfect opening to tell someone about this conversation, someone who had the power and the means to take Voldemort down, he still didn't tell Dumbledore. It was served on a silver platter for him, and he still withheld the information that could have saved the entire Wizarding world. It took Harry drinking liquid luck and Slughorn getting blackout drunk to finally get him to admit it. He had no intention of giving this information up had it not been for the circumstances that the liquid luck put into place. People say that Slughorn is one of the only good Slytherins, but I would argue that with him withholding this information, he was responsible for more deaths than any Slytherin besides Voldemort himself. Yeah, I went there. But those are what I think to be the 20 dumbest decisions in Harry Potter. And I apologize that I've been slowly losing my voice throughout this entire video. I was sick last week and I thought I was ready to do this. Clearly I'm not 100% yet, but I'm glad I got through it. If you enjoy this video, I have lots of others just like it. Like this one where I rank all 199 chapters in the Harry Potter series from worst to best. Or this one where I do a deep dive into Harry Potter fanfiction, which is a wild one. That's all I have for you guys today though. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.